Hello and welcome to 2026 and also to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith and I'm your host, and I give you a very warm welcome to kick off the new year with a brand new segment of John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens. Now, for those of you who are new and are joining in the podcast to start off the new year, John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens is a segment of the podcast where I take the opportunity to talk to all sorts of different greenkeepers, most often golf course superintendents or golf course managers from around Australia and into New Zealand now. And that's really something that I'm branching into a lot more. And that's the goal for 2026, is to get a few more voices from New Zealand. But there's also different interviews from people in other parts of the world from time to time that grew up or began their careers right here in our corner of the world. So that's what you're going to hear about on John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens. It's a great insight to what a career in greenkeeping can give you, where the opportunities are that it can take you, and just what it brings to your life. I was fortunate enough to be a greenkeeper. I was fortunate enough to be a superintendent for nearly 10 years myself, and this industry gave me a great deal. And the pleasure that I have in talking to different levels of greenkeepers in different parts of their careers, whether they be male or female, young or old, it doesn't matter. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to listen and talk to and explore their own careers and what they've got out of being a greenkeeper. Like I mentioned, it gave me so much in my life, and it's a way that I want to explore it with you, the audience, so you can hear just some of the things that everyone else gets in this greenkeeping industry of ours. And we don't talk about it enough. And I think there's great opportunity for people to get into a career in greenkeeping. There's plenty of work opportunities in Australia and New Zealand currently, and I think it's something that we should talk about more and explore more and highlight more. So that's what John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens is. And what you're about to hear is a wonderful conversation with a young man who started life in country New South Wales and has now carved his own unique career path in greenkeeping that has taken him all the way to Congressional Country Club in the United States of America. Jock McPherson is a great young man that I have the opportunity to speak with to start off 2026 with, and I think you'll agree that this interview is an absolute belter to fire everything up. Now, I mentioned the partner of Keeper of the Greens is John Deere Golf, and this wonderful partnership that John Deere Golf and the Golfing Greenkeeper have with this segment to talk about the careers of greenkeepers and superintendents all over Australia and New Zealand, and as I mentioned, indeed around the world, is something that we're both extremely proud to work together on and bring to you, the audience, so you get to take in all the details of people's careers and what this industry is all about. And John Deere Golf are all in when it comes to supporting the turf industry. They are so supportive of our turf industry, and this is a wonderful way to showcase their level of support, because since 1987, they've built a tradition of trust and excellence on golf courses around the world, and they're just getting started. And this partnership that we have showcases to you again their commitment to supporting the industry. Whether you're managing fairways, greens, or anything in between, John Deere Golf is your partner in precision. They've got a wide range of advanced equipment and dedicated support that's designed with your team's passion and professionalism in mind. And that's one of the things that comes out so well when I speak to greenkeepers and superintendents from around Australia and New Zealand, is the passion that they have for their careers and for this industry. And John Deere match that passion in spades. Now, when it comes to the latest equipment and innovation in the turf industry, have you seen the fully electric walk-behind greens mowers that John Deere have available? It's a bold step towards sustainability without compromising performance. Plus, there is a brand new electric fairway mower on the horizon. Now, you've got to stay tuned for this one. It's going to be fantastic, and we've got more that I will be able to talk about with you very soon this year. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming. With dealerships across Australia and New Zealand, John Deere is ready to help you make smarter decisions, reduce costs, and elevate your turf game. From cutting-edge tech to top-tier machines, they've got everything you need to keep your course in perfect condition. If you need parts, service or advice, your local John Deere dealer has you covered, and you can find them so easily on their website at deere.com.au. That's deere.com.au, where it's so simple it couldn't be any easier to find out where your local dealer is relative to where you are. So if you're in Northern Australia, if you're in Tasmania, if you're in WA, if you're in New Zealand, the North Island or the South Island, it doesn't matter where you are. You go onto the website and you put in the postcode and the location of where you are, and it will tell you where your nearest dealership is, who can look after you. And you want to get in touch with them, ladies and gentlemen, to find out what they have available that's going to help you maintain and look after your golf course better. Just mentioned the electric walk behind greens mowers. They've also got the Operations Centre Pro Golf, which is a total game changer in how you can manage your turf facility more efficiently and take it to the next level. So get on the website, check out the info, and punch in your details, punch in your local details to find out where your nearest dealership is and get in touch with them. And they're going to help you maintain your golf course and look after your turf surfaces better. And the one line that I love from John Deere Golf that they say is, let's move your game forward together. And that's their passion and support of our turf industry. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, this is episode number 162. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great privilege, and by the time this comes out, it will be 2026, and I'm incredibly excited for this brand new start to the year with John Deere Golf, keeper of the greens. And I have joining me is an Australian, but we're going overseas, so this is something different. And I've joining me on the line is Senior Assistant Superintendent of Congressional Country Club in the US, Jock McPherson. G'day, Jock. How you doing?
Good, Steve. How about yourself?
Mate, I am very well. Now, I will say to people, this is first to come out in the new year, so we're recording this just before Christmas in the event to get things lined up so we can get you started for the new year. So your first cab off the rank for 2026, mate. A young Aussie working overseas. I'm incredibly excited to have you on. Now, it's cold. You're not in summer. You're in the States, so it's winter. What's happening?
Yeah, it's pretty cold here. It's actually been a pretty cool start to the winter. We've had 2 snow events so far. The first one probably dumped about 2 inches, but it was gone by the next day. And then this cold front that's just come through in the last few days is pretty brutal. It's we probably got 1.5 inches 2 nights ago, and we haven't got above freezing for the last 3 days. So
wow,
the wind chills in the daytimes, the -10, -15, but. It's not too bad as long as it's not too windy. It's sunny out. It's actually not. It's bearable.
It's not too bad. Now I've just got to get these things right for people. You say it's -10. Are we talking Celsius?
Yeah.
So you're still talking metric like a normal person. I'll throw that out there for any of the Americans listening. Yeah. -10 degrees.
Yeah. That's the wind chill. Like we probably get down to -10 real temp in the night, but
wow.
Then, it's like the last few days it's been like -4 at the top, but wind chills probably -15, so it gets cold.
That's staggering. I can't imagine. We don't see the congressionals of the world over here on television, or we don't have anything to do with them in the middle of winter. Is there much going on? Maybe you can't say much. What happens in wintertime?
Yeah, so I work on the blue course. There's 2 courses here. So we have the championship course, which you'll see on the TV and US Opens and whatnot.
Yep.
We close that last week in November every year. We reopen in late March, early April.
Okay, right.
So we're straight into projects. We got a tournament in 2 years, so we're trying to button the course up and get all these projects done. We just widen in a couple of fairways. We sort of soften in a slope out on a green. Just a couple of tweaks, nothing major. Like the course had its major renovation 4 or 5 years ago, but yeah, it's just cleaning up a few things, and so we're busy into that. We've got contractors on site. We're almost done with that. We're hoping we're going to be done by Christmas, but with the weather, might push a little bit longer.
That's wild. I mean, it's just those. I come from a cold part of the world, and you do too. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But those temperatures, that's a different ball game altogether. That's like Antarctica for us. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's we don't get that.
It's not like it every day. Like we get spurts of some warm weather, but it's been unusually cold for the start of this cool period. But yeah, and then the Gold Course. Just go back on the other thing. The Gold Course, which is like the members course, they play. It's like they take the kids and the wives and family out there to play, and they stay open. So you get some crazy people out there that are going to play. Might get 5 or 10 or 15 people out there, but props to them if they want to go and play in this like top of 5 degrees day, then go for it.
That's wild. So, that's proper puffer jacket weather. I don't get these. I call them loosely the Muppets here in Sydney that walk around in their puffer jackets and it's 15 degrees. But that's you're genuinely using it over there. That's where it's helpful.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like I'm freezing cold. I've got 5 or 6 layers on, and these guys are out just walking around. Pull a quarter zip or a hoodie on or something like that. So.
Unbelievable, mate. Look, that's it's all very interesting. I wanted to start with that because it's a different part of the planet. You're over there and doing something very, very different in a different environment. But, mate, as you know, I start off with Steve's Super 7 questions. So before we get headlong into a few things in your story and your career and what got you to the US, which excites me in understanding and learning more, mate, I want to start off with a little bit of fun. Are you ready to go?
Sure, let's get it.
Let's do it. Number 1, tea or coffee? Do you have a hot beverage of choice when it's minus 15?
I don't drink tea or coffee.
No.
I don't think. No, I think coffee's the most disgusting thing ever. So,
that's gold.
Yeah, never got into tea, so I've never really had it. When I have had it, I sort of haven't liked it too much, so I steer clear of that one as well. So, just.
We'll pass. It's a full-blown pass.
Yeah.
It's a wide for Steve for the first one. We're going straight off with a wide. All right, we go to number 2. Number 2 is stripes or no stripes on fairways. What are your thoughts on this one?
Personally, like no stripes. I like a push fairway, but we can't do that every day. We do it for tournaments, but
what's a push fairway mean? Is that all just one direction? Yeah,
you just push it to the green.
Okay.
It's just all one direction. We tend to do that for a tournament for 1 week of the year, but normally half and half because it's just easier. But if I'm operating a piece of equipment, I love striping up some stuff. You don't get any more satisfaction than a straight line. So.
Indeed, mate. Very good to hear. Number 3. Now, this is for tee marker setup. I'm not sure what your thoughts are and maybe a little bit of what happens over there at Congressional. Do you prefer to have your tee markers set up the full width of the tee cut, or do you make them slightly more narrow so that they can be moved around the tee? Where do you sit here?
It doesn't really bother me. We do like half a tee box here, so it's like 4 steps. Just spreads the wear out. We might get into it later, but the summers there are brutal. So, any bit of grass we can save. Personally, it doesn't worry me one bit. Probably the full tee, so it like looks nice and clean, and you don't have like a random tee mark in the middle of the tee. But
all right, very good. Number 4, what is your favourite grass variety? Personally, what do you like?
Ooh, bent grass if it's greens. And then, probably couch grass. I've only ever worked with Santarena, so I know that's your favourite grass. But I like Santarena. Like you can work it pretty hard, and you can get some good results with it. And it's the way I like to. I'm pretty aggressive with the way I like to grow grass. So Santarena is like the perfect thing for that. And and then bent grass greens, you can't get a better putting surface than pure bent. So
nice, very good answer. A favourite of many as well, and there's obviously reasons for that because they are so good. Number 5, should bunkers be presented perfectly for golf in the same way that we do our turf surfaces?
It depends. Depends what course you're on. If it's tough over here, like where I work, it's I think they got to be presented perfectly because they stick out like a sore thumb. But like somewhere, for instance, like the Sandbelt, I've been down there before and I've seen it, and like you can get away with it because of the wind splash and like all the the wind whipping it all the time, and you can get away with that. And personally, it doesn't, like, when we're in COVID, we didn't rake bunkers, took the bunker rakes out, and it didn't phase me one bit. So, it's for where I am now, like a perfect bunker. It looks really nice, but maybe further down the track, when they've got less staff or something like that, a rubber bunker doesn't worry me too much.
There you go. Very good. Number 6. What is your opinion of green speeds? And I'm curious to this one because we hear a lot and we see a lot on television about American golf, especially the high-level tournament golf courses like where you are currently at Congressional. What are your opinions on green speeds?
Personally, I don't mind a fast green, 11.5, 12, it's probably my limit. Slow greens has a place, but like anything under a 10 I think it's a little too slow. Like, definitely for myself, like I play golf a lot, and so 11.5 speed greens, like pretty much perfect. Your ball's going to run true, and it's not going to jump around a bump like it's slow green, but then it's not too fast for like it's not getting crazy like a 12.5, 13. So
okay, all right, mate. It's all interesting to hear what people's thoughts and feelings are, and they compare it. People compare it with their own thoughts, which is very good. Number 7, the final one. Which golf course, not your own, would you recommend people visit and why? And maybe, I don't know how much you've seen over in the States, but I'll leave this one open to anywhere that you've experienced. Is there a golf course that you'd recommend people to visit and why?
Been fortunate enough to play a few good courses over here. And
Go on, name drop. Come on, out with it.
I'm fortunate enough to play Cow Club. Actually played it like 4 consecutive days in a row, and I actually probably played it 6 or 7 times.
Wow.
And I fell in love with the course. Like to this day, I haven't found a course that's better. I haven't played like any of the Sandbelt courses, but Cow Club it's wall to wall fescue. It's hard to rock, and
right.
The ball run. And like the greens are funky, and they're like, I don't know. I walked off that place, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to have a better round of golf in my life. And it was amazing. If anyone can get a chance to play Cow Club, it's once in a lifetime.
Unreal. So, mate, tell us where is that exactly? Because I've got no idea.
Cow Club's in San Francisco, so
okay.
It's right next to the airport. It's not right next to it, it's like around the corner. But if anyone's looking on the map, it's over there near the airport.
Okay.
So.
No, awesome. Mate, that's a great nomination, something we don't hear about. So, mate, very good. Look, Jock, that's Steve Super 7 done and dusted. Thank you. Some interesting answers that, like I said before, people will compare with their own bits and pieces and their thought processes along the way. But I always like that last one because it gives people something to think about that they might not have heard about before based around your experiences. Now, mate, this is a great, interesting part of the conversation. We're going to talk about your career. As I mentioned at the beginning, you're at Congressional Country Club in the US. I can't remember. I think that's on the East Coast. Is that right?
Yep.
I don't know a lot about the US, so I'm learning. I'm flying blind here, mate. I need a little bit of help along the way. But I'd like to, if you could take us back to, there's a big piece of the puzzle here in the middle, which we will chat about. But take us back to the beginning of your greenkeeping career. You're an Australian. Tell us a bit about how you got into greenkeeping and where that began for you. And then please, if you could walk us through how you get to a place like Congressional into the Senior Assistant Superintendent's role, mate. This is wild. I'm already excited.
Alrighty. So, I guess I was born and raised in Tamworth, northern New South Wales, or northwest New South Wales, I guess. Played a lot of golf growing up, a lot of junior golf. Did a lot of traveling within New South Wales, and I was around the game my whole life ever since like 4 years old. So
wow, okay. Was that Tamworth Golf Club or Long Yard?
Played both. I was a junior for a long time at Long Yard, switched to Tamworth, and then ended up back at Long Yard. So time at both clubs, and it was just like a matter of circumstances between the two. There was a time that one dropped to the juniors and the other picked it up. So
okay.
And then dumb luck would have it, I guess, that one day I was out there and some of my mates I played golf with We're on the greenkeeping team, and I was looking for like a school-based, I don't know what they call it, the work experience or something like that.
Yep.
You do a new turn, and I was just asked him one day, and I was like, "Hey, can I come out for like 2 weeks and just give it a go, do something along the lines of looking after grass?" Because I never really kind of had a passion for growing grass. I was sort of mowing the yard every weekend and whatnot, so I thought it was going to be pretty cool. But anywho, I went out there and did 2 weeks there, and it wasn't the glorious jobs. I didn't really mow any grass or anything. I was sort of
divvying teas and some of the usual stuff that you do, empty rubbish bins, a Monday morning run, move markers.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Empty the bins and, weed eat around whippersnip around the trees and pond banks and stuff. But yeah, apparently I enjoyed it that much that I wanted to go back. But, unfortunately at the time, it took a bit of convincing from the superintendent to bring me back as, there was only 3 staff members there and they already had an apprentice on them. So, it took a lot of convincing, but after many texts and a few phone calls, I actually convinced the superintendent to come back on. So,
okay.
And that was actually a school-based traineeship. So I was at school for 4 days and then went to work on the Friday.
Wow.
And then did like a horticultural certificate while I was, at school. And then I went on to take on the apprenticeship once I left school in, I think, 2017. And I did 3 years of an apprenticeship at Longyard. And I don't know, it's probably one of the best places to start, like those smaller clubs. You get to do everything at a short period of time. The boss there, Adam, at the time, Adam McMahon, he threw me on everything. It wasn't, something he wouldn't let me do. But he slowly eased his way into things. But then, by the end of my second year, I was doing everything. I was operating every piece of equipment. I was spraying greens, I was spraying fairways, and whatnot, and running weekends by myself. And
that's a really good part, like you said before, of regional clubs, isn't it? You get the opportunity. You got to quickly be brought up to speed to be, I think, useful in a team, in a small team, in a big course. Longyard, I think, was the first Greg Norman golf design course, I think, in Australia. I might be wrong, but I know it was a Greg Norman course, so there you go. But, country town, I think Tamworth's a big, 50,000 odd? Something like that. It's big joint.
Probably more now.
Probably
more.
more.
65, 70.
There you go. Okay.
It's grown. It's exploded,
so, I mean, in those clubs, those regional clubs, you've got to be useful to the team in every way possible because, how many did you say there was on the team? 5?
There was only 3.
3. So there's 3.
Yeah, there was 4 at one point, but that was like a 2-day-a-week casual.
So if and this is what I like to say to people, just to get an idea of perspective, and this is why it's important that as an apprentice you're useful and you quickly get to move through everything, like you just talked about then. If someone in the team has a day off sick, right, that's 33% of the workforce missing on that day.
Yeah.
So if you've got a team of 10 people, that's 3 people out the door, which doesn't happen that often in a big team. But in a small team, it happens not that often, but when it does happen, it's a big hole to fill. So you need to be versatile. You need to be useful. And I think there's great opportunities for people to get through some amazing experience starting your career, like you just said, in smaller regional clubs because you just get out on everything. They might not have the best gear and they might not have all the latest gear and all of the gear, but you get to do so many things straight away pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's it. We only had one rough mower, one sprayer, one greens mower, one tees mower. We had the one of everything, and so our utility carts was like a ute, and and a random golf cart that used to be a drinks cart. So,
and they would you got to keep them going, right? You got to keep everything going too. If a mower plays up, the greens mower, if you hit a small stone and it bends, it takes a chunk. We've all been there. It does something. If you hit coins before and all sorts of stuff, it takes a chunk out of the blade. You got to start again. It's terrible. But these are the things that happen. You can't just go and grab the spare one.
No, exactly. And we had a mechanic one day a week, but Tuesday through Friday, if anything went wrong, you're in there fixing it, or if you did it, you broke something and the
you
boss
broke
kind of
it,
thought
you
you did
fix
it
it.
on purpose. Yeah, exactly. So,
It's your experience, so get on with it, and you get to learn so much.
yeah, exactly, and that's probably one of the most, one of the best places I could have started. Having the freedom to do kind of not what he wanted, but sort of explore explore the possibilities of what grass can do, and like how far you can push it, because there's no one's going to be out there on a Saturday at 3:00 checking the greens for moisture. So you'll come in and it's a little wilty on Sunday morning or something like that, or you should have watered the greens the night before or something like that. But yeah, it's those are the type of things you'll learn, and how far you can push grass, especially with minimal resources. And it's not everyone's going to have a big club with massive amounts of budget. So eventually at some point you'll have to go back to go forward again. So it's nice here, like you got all the money, but eventually, like someday you're going to go back. So it's good to start somewhere like that, so you're not like in a rude shock when you go backwards.
Yeah,
well, not backwards, but backwards to go forward again. So.
Yeah, for sure. So you do your time at Long Yard in Tamworth. You finish your time there.
Yep. So pretty much the day after my apprenticeship finished, the club was going through financial troubles and whatnot, so couldn't really see a future there. So I was looking around, and I knew I wanted to go to the US, but I wasn't ready to go at the time, and I wanted to go to a big club where they walk mode greens and tees and did all the extra things that we just couldn't do at Long Yard. So I just wanted to widen my experience and get on more different things, like spray greens with spray bugs, or mouth greens, or spray fairways with proper equipment. And I just wanted to do get myself ahead before I go over there, over to the US. So I went to, fortunately enough, I went to Ellerston, and
hang on, whoa, you can't just throw that in the mix. Fortunately, I went from Long Yard to Ellerston as a logical step. That's not a normal step. You can't just drop that down. Ellerston. You went to Ellerston?
Yep. So I was at Ellerston for about a year and 9 or 10 months.
Wow.
Right at the back end of COVID. Well, probably the middle of COVID, actually. So 2020, sort of the middle of 2020. And
that's wild.
And here and a little bit there. So,
how did you get a gig at Ellerston?
Once again, dumb luck would have it, right at the perfect time. A job came up there, and my boss is they all know each other. It's only an hour and a half from Tamworth. So, I sort of said to him that, I think I want to go here and whatnot. And he sort of reached out to Rod, and then, suggested I should come there. And then I applied for the job, and then, went up there, did an interview and whatnot. And, fortunately enough, Rod rung me back and said, you got the job, you can come on, make your way up here. So
that's incredible. So what was the role you applied for there? Was it just qualified greenkeeper? What was the position?
Yeah, just a senior greenkeeper sort of thing. One of the qualified staff.
And you were looking for that next level of experience, like you say, out of a small regional club or golf course, then into something, because Ellerston is one of the best in the country, right? It's a proper regional, in the middle of nowhere golf course. So you're not going to stumble across it and drive past it and go, I'll have a look at Ellerston from the road to see what it's like. It's an hour and something off the main drag. I've been there once. It's an absolutely incredible golf course. It's you're in someone's home. I mean, it's a different part of the world.
Yeah, exactly. You got 2,000 acres of security fence property and whatnot. So, special place. Great people there. It was like the perfect stepping stone as well. It was sort of needed to grow up a little bit, and someone like Rod's, he's a very demanding person. He knows what he wants, and he wants
you have to be at a place like that. Like I said, I've been fortunate to be there once, and Rod gave me a lot of time and showed me around. But it's special, and you got to drive it in a certain way to be able to get the results that the ownership, which is the Packer family, would want.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And so Rob was the perfect person for me to grow up a little bit. He sort of straightened me out a little bit. And, the guys underneath him rods off at Barnbougle and run the show down there. And then, Ronnie's now take the charge there, but Ronnie was great to work for as well. And then, Ian Moores is now gone down to Kangaroo Island. So it was a great bunch of leadership there. It was such a unique place, and it was such a special place, and in like a special valley, but with a special environment. It was one of a kind, and I absolutely love that place. And if I've got the chance to go there and be a superintendent for the rest of my life, that's where I'll be. But
it's one of a kind. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of people will never know because it is a private golf course. So things might be changing a little, but that's another story. It's a special part of the world.
So I went there, and like I said, it was the perfect step. And you just learn how to do everything properly there, like the finer details sort of stuff. Like, you can do as much as you can at the smaller clubs, but, they find the extra detail, and, it's just another step above of any course I was going to probably go to next. And it was like from here to like here, like right up there. So exactly what I wanted, exactly what I needed as well. And, just like I'd never walked my own greens before, and I'd never walked my own tees, and I've never sprayed like greens with spray bugs, and like more manual equipment, like smaller stuff. So
there's an interesting opportunity there for regional people growing up in regional New South Wales, certainly up the north side of New South Wales and northwest, that you don't need to go to the city to get that opportunity, which Ellerston, I never realised that until just then, that Ellerston affords that, given that there's an opening for a role.
Yeah, I mean, I recommend it if you want the experience, and you don't want to move to the big city, and you like the country, you like to look out your window and there's like no one there, then that's the place to be. And it's as country as it gets, and
it's so far removed from everything.
But it's a special place.
That's unreal. So you're there, you're learning all these new techniques and the finer details of greenkeeping now. So you start over at Long Yard, just to recap a little bit. You get experience on everything and how to do stuff yourself and look after things. And then you come to a place like Ellerston, which is the other extreme, and you're looking at finer details, really getting your eye in on the next and the ultimate level of perfection and delivering a quality product. You were there for, what did you say, a year and a half?
Yeah, just over a year and a half, like a year and 9 months. So.
And then how does life change at Ellerston?
And like as I knew, I always wanted to come to the US. So like once I felt like I had a grip on things there, and I got that extra experience I wanted, I sort of reached out to, as everyone does, they reach out to Mike O'Keefe.
The legendary Mike O'Keefe. He has been on the pod, and it's good that people take the opportunity to go and listen. But yes, that's the way for a lot of Australians to get to the US, right?
Yep. So I sent him an email, and it was pretty early on, so he sort of sent one back. He's like, right, let's send one to me in maybe August or September or something like that, and then we'll see it from there. And so I waited a few months, and then I sent another email off to him, and he sent one back saying, give me a couple of weeks and we'll find something. And sure enough, I guess as dumb luck would have it again, here I'm still here. But yeah, he said, here's this place, Congressional, like do your resume up and send it off. And and then a couple of days later, I had an interview at Congressional. So, what was
going through your head at the first place you get dropped into as an opportunity at Congressional for an interview? What was that like?
It was crazy. Like, I knew of Congressional. I didn't of the US Opens and whatnot. I didn't know the history of the place, so it sort of didn't grab me at the time. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's a pretty cool place. And as you do a bit of research and whatnot, you find out that they just rebuilt this course, and like it's not even a year old, and you're going to be coming in there. So yeah, it was surreal. Like I didn't think I knew what I was getting myself into at the time. I knew about it, but I didn't quite know what it was about. So O'Keefe said I was good enough to go here, and so I was after a few months of processing and visas and all that fun stuff, I went from 125 population and jumped on a plane and flew 24 hours all the way to the US to Washington DC with millions and millions of people here and 6 lanes of traffic. And
that's a proper journey for a boy from the bush, mate. What was that?
Oh, yeah.
What was that moment like?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was such a long
was it daunting in the steps through it?
Absolutely. Like there was times where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like maybe not. And then Keith actually was like, no, like you need to do this. Like let's keep the ball rolling. And props to him, because there was one point there where I was like, oh no, I'm not going. So it was just that that country kid that didn't want to move to the big city, but off I went. And the plane ride was brutal. First time I'd really ever been over like 3 hours of a flight, and I'm sitting on a Qantas flight into Dallas. It's 15 hours long. And couldn't wait to get off that plane. But
wow.
Yeah, flew in Dallas, and Dallas was just an eye opener itself before I'd even got to the US. Got to DC, and then flew into DC, and then it was straight into it. It was off the plane, straight to the course. They showed you around, and I mean, it was
what's that
great.
if you don't mind, what's that process like? Because we hear about this, and I wouldn't mind just drilling into it a little bit, because it's part of the Ohio program that that's all set up properly. It's not like you got to find your way there, I imagine.
Yeah, it's all guided. Like, Keith, he does everything for you. So like, you had the interview, you do your resume up for the club, and you sit the interview and it all goes well, and then you provide some paperwork for Keith, and like he does a lot of work behind the scenes, and goes to town on it, and he puts all the application together for you, and pretty much he goes, here you go, and off to the embassy you go, and you sit in an interview, and it's like a couple of minutes long. It's nothing. It's nothing too bad, and then it's all systems go ahead. So when it's great. Like
when you're landing in the States, like, and you get to DC, like you said, it's you're welcomed in and met with all the right people, I gather, to then make your way to the club and all that sort of stuff. Like I'm just picturing me just getting off and going, oh, where am I? How do I do this? Who do I talk to? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I flew into DC, and there's an assistant superintendent here ready to pick us up, and he met us, and I'd never met this guy, never spoke to this guy, but jumped in his truck, and off we went. And he took us to the club, and then all the assistants, superintendents, the director here, they all come out of the blue, they come and meet you all, like,
wow.
Shake your hand, and they make you feel very welcome. And they, for the next 2 days, they make sure everything's like set up, so they make sure everything you need in the house. You don't have a driver's license, you don't have a phone number, you don't have a social security number.
Oh,
and they go out their way to welcome you in, and they do a really good job of like onboarding us on, I guess you call it. But, making sure we're all settled in and feel welcome. So
that's unreal. That's got to be very comforting, and then something that's you don't need to stress about then, because I suppose you're landing and all your senses are heightened. Everyone's speaking slightly with a different twang than we are, and they're probably going, I can't understand this bloke from Australia. And but then everything.
Exactly.
But if that's a streamlined, comfortable process, it means that you can then step into your role really quickly, I imagine.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we do, like, after the first 2 days you settle in, it's straight to work. Like it's no messing around. It's no, you sit in the office here and watch a few videos. It's let's get out there and get going. So which is, I think, the best way, because you've just been on a flight and you want to do a sit around any longer. You just want to get straight into it. So yeah, it's full steam ahead. And my intern year, it was a busy one. Between the tournament, weather, and all sorts of different things, we had a busy summer. But first day on the job, four trucks of turf rolled in, and we had a lot of grass to lay that day. And,
wow.
It was full steam ahead, and that's the way these clubs run. There's no slowing down. It's what's next. And so it was different. Like, it was still cold here when I arrived, so it was almost snowing, and it was freezing cold, and I definitely didn't pack enough warm clothes. And,
Now, Tamworth gets cold
here I
in
am out there.
winter with frosts and that sort of stuff, right? Overnight temps is cold, but it's not that type of cold with snow and things like that.
No, like it might be -4 or 5, and then it'll get up to like 15 degrees through the day. So it's like perfect. But like here, it might be -5 in the morning, and you might get a top of 5 degrees. So.
Wow. Yeah. So you're straight into it with a turfing gig and prepping the golf course and building whatever you were doing. That how long did you do that internship for at Congressional when you landed?
6 months. So it was 6 months, which is typical.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was like from April through to September. We did a lot that summer. They built a new performance setup for the members, so it's like a 5-bay hitting indoor simulators, green the moves, all this whiz bang stuff, and part of that was we put 2 greens in, reshaped a short game area, did a lot of work to finish that off, and then the course was still not quite finished from the renovation they did, so there was like a lot of tying in to do, so like there was a lot of side work we had to do along with looking after the golf course. So before the tournament, we had a tournament in June. So before that, we built 2 greens, laid a roll of grass, tied it in the course, and then also, spent a lot of time maintaining the course, getting it ready for its first tournament on TV since.
So what was that tournament?
Yeah, it was the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. So.
Wow. So you're proper on TV. This isn't half a fleeting exercise. This is all in.
Yeah, primetime TV on Saturday and Sunday. So, we were. It was straight. It was immature grass. It was grass had been laid by sod, and we're wall to wall cool season grass here, and so.
Wow. Righto.
We got 42 acres of bent grass, and I'm just talking the bluegrass, the blue course. So we got 42 acres of fairways and tees, something like 5 acres or 4.5 acres of greens, and then it's like 60 acres of rough. So,
and the fairways are bent grass. What's your rough?
It's just tall fescue, bit of bluegrass in there as well. So.
Wow, that's incredible. I don't want to know how stressful that could be in summertime.
It's quite stressful. It's 3 or 4 months of it's like just holding on to what you got. So
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, so we came into the tournament. I'm still an intern, so I was doing a lot of walk mowing and getting the bunkers ready and fertilizer and spraying everything. I mean, there's a funny story, but about the week before, or the weekend before the tournament, but we were going through such a stressful summer that year that it was, you try and grow bent grass in, Brisbane summers, and it's just like it's crazy. Humidity's through the roof. It's 33 degrees every day. And,
is that what it gets like in the peak of summer there?
Oh yeah, it's disgusting humidity here, but
wow. Okay, so you get really cold, but then also you get like northern New South Wales, southeastern Queensland type weather in summertime. So you're trying to grow cool season grass.
Yep. So
wow.
So we had that, and we had a funny weather pattern that came in June, which is kind of unusual for June, and being immature bent grass fairways that have been sodded, so they're still like stunted from being cut. But we had a westerly blow in one day, and it was just hit like 90, I guess probably like 35 degrees or something like that. And on the Sunday before the tournament week, and it's like 30, 40 guys out on hand watering and hoses trying to keep the place just turned and went sideways.
Wow, that's a lot of effort and a lot of money in turf. Solid turfing, bent grass fairways. I just can't wrap my head around the scale of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was big renovation they did. It was massive. They had a short time frame, so and especially like the summers here and the unpredictable weather, like you can't go and seed everything. It's just like you could come in one day and you get 2 inches of rain and it's all gone. So
wow,
the only feasible option is just slap the sod down and put up with it for 4 or 5 years, and once it's bedded in and matures a bit, then the grass becomes good. So like it is now, it's quite good. So, but yeah, that Sunday it was quite funny. I've seen some stress on grass, but that was one of the days that was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Like, this is one of the things that you see. Like, you come from Australia where you look after like 18 bent grass greens, and you come over here and there's 42 acres of bent grass that's going purple. So
that's wild. That would have been a freak out moment for a few people, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was all of us. Like, we had all hands on deck. And,
wow.
I mean, there was everyone. Like, there wasn't a person that wasn't on a hose. Volunteers that came in on the Sunday. We were supposed to show them around the course, and we're out there chasing grass, and so they all came out and they helped. And it was like, it was just one of them things where like the weather switches on us, and we sort of knew it was coming. The wind was sort of fun. The wind sort of advanced things more than we wanted. So this is something I go back to. It's like we wouldn't experience that in Australia.
No, and these are the random things, right? This is an experience that you won't get here.
Yeah. So I mean, you might get a windy day and you might get a few patches on greens, but it's just a normal weekly thing there. We were trying to host a tournament. So.
That's incredible. So how was the tournament going through that? What was that experience like? Because you hadn't done anything like that before.
Yeah, it was interesting. The hours are long, and I sort of, as an intern, we didn't get too much responsibility. So I was just mowing tees in the morning and then doing a bit of hand work in the afternoon and a bit of tidy up stuff. So it was actually like perfect. Like, you weren't under too much stress. It was like, get your tees mowed in the morning, and then cruise around the afternoon and make sure the course is in good moisture condition. Unfortunately, but fortunately, we had 2 inches of rain on the Wednesday night, so we sort of chased it Monday, Tuesday, and then once the rain came Wednesday, sort of the course didn't need watering for the rest of the week, and it was like pretty stressless couple of weeks, but yeah, no, it was great. Like, I've never experienced like hosting tournaments. I've been to tournaments before. Like, I was at the match play at Metropolitan, President's Cup. I went to Royal Melbourne, so like I've been there,
okay,
but it wasn't part of the team. So this was like a, probably one of the best tournaments that I've done because I was so involved. It was the first time that anyone had seen the blue course on TV. Like, it was all over Twitter. Like, everyone was like, "Wow, this place is completely different than what it used to be." And,
that's incredible. What a great experience.
The place was in immaculate condition. There was, there wasn't a blemish out there, and you wouldn't even notice what happened on Sunday. Like, the course was so perfect, and pretty much all your blood, sweat and tears that went into that place was showcased, and the positivity that came out of that event. Like, everyone loved it, and everyone was talking about the course, and there was a normal PGA Tour event on that weekend, and to be honest, no one even knew about it. So that was what we were kind of going for that week, and to pull it off was pretty amazing. And we had a special bunch of guys then, and we still got most of those guys now. But yeah, it was an amazing week. And
what was the feeling like there for yourself as and let's call it, you're a rank outsider Aussie coming into the team? But you were accepted into the team and you were doing the internship with as part of the Ohio State program, which obviously we know is extremely well recognised in both sides of the world, from us and over there in where you're working. But you got to work hard. What was it like at the end of that? How did you feel after that yourself and within the group? Because you were an Aussie, you're not an American.
I felt great. Like, by then, like we'd all adapted, and like they'd all welcomed us in. It was just like we're just another team member to them, and it was great. Like, standing on the putting green the other day, and unfortunately I got to collect the flags behind the last group, so it's like pretty cruisy, and I was just driving around behind the last group and pulling the flags out, and then you stand on the 18th green, with the winner in Ji Chung, and it was a pretty surreal moment. And you got the big clubhouse in the background, and you're taking a photo with all the team. Yeah, it just didn't get any better than that. And there was no like, oh, this guy's an Australian. Like, it was like we were all one team, and that's the best thing about it. It's
That's
like
amazing.
They welcome you so much that like it's just like you're working with anyone else. It didn't matter with who you were or where you were from. So
that's incredible. What a great thing to be involved with. So you do the I've forgotten whatever the tournament was.
The KPMG Women's Championship, PGA Championship,
Women's PGA. Okay, so you do the Women's PGA there at Congressional as part of your internship, and all the work leading up to it, which is a wild ride by the sounds of it. What's the come down from that? Where do you go from there?
It was great. Like, you got a bit more freedom then. So, all the assistants did all the spraying and all that, and all the crucial stuff. Because we didn't want to put anyone that was unexperienced out there. Well, they didn't. I wasn't part of the medical team then. But yeah, after that, it was like we were throwing on sprayers, and we're spraying. You're spraying Congressional Country Club, and it's pretty surreal.
I just keep thinking, mate. I'm just thinking of your time at Long Yard, right? And then you're at Congressional. That's incredible. What a great journey. Yeah,
so like it was things like that. We got to do more like hands-on work with like the hand watering side of things. We're running the heads, like running irrigation through my phone, and just giving the flexibility by the assistants there that they can trust you, and like then the tournament's gone, so it's like they give you a lot of freedom. It was great. It was a sad day when I had to leave there. I felt like I built great friendships, and the last day, it couldn't have been a picture perfect day. It was perfect sunrise. We worked late that day. We had a big member event, but it was 10 o'clock, and we'd finished our night shift, and it was a perfect sunset, and we all stood around and celebrated the last day, and it was a sad day to leave Congressional, and just for part of the reason I came back. So
you finish a 6-month internship at Congressional.
Yep.
And you've taken on so much there in that time frame. What an incredible journey! Felt like part of the family at the end of that period, which is even better. Which is, again, like I talked about, one of the amazing things you get from what I've heard as part of the Ohio State program. Where does things take you?
Takes me down south. It takes me to Austin Country Club in Texas.
So is this still part of Ohio program?
Yep. Still on to the next stage.
Next move. Let's get stuck into the next one. There's no rest for the wicked.
It was straight into it as well. So, normally you do 6 months at one place, 6 months at another. And, most people go home, but you can also extend onto another 6 months. But anyway, I went off to Austin Country Club, and they did at the time host a Dell Match Play, PGA Tour event. So,
okay.
Went in there, and the first day was we overseeded the fairways, greens, and tees. It was
what?
Yeah, it was crazy. So
what were you overseeding? What did they have on the ground, and then what were you overseeding with?
So it was couch grass, fairways.
Okay.
Greens it was probably Bermuda greens as well, but
so couch greens, regardless of variety, but there was couch everywhere.
Yep, exactly. And then we overseed the fairways and tees with just general ryegrass.
Okay.
And then the greens were pole triv. We first 4 days was full on. We were working some long hours to get the course overseeded, and then it was like funny. Like, we just took a massive step back, and for 2 weeks we didn't do any coursework. We just stood to the side and watched the grass grow until we could cut it. So
right.
That was an interesting thing. Like, we come off a crazy hectic summer at Congressional and straight back into it again in another place. And then it was like just absolutely pump the brakes. And it was pump the brakes for the next 4 months. And we watched the grass grow, and we got it perfect for the match play. And then close to the tournament in February, we got busy again. But yeah.
Different experience, something very different altogether again, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the program is, it's going to send you to a northeast course or a mid-Atlantic where I am from, and or Columbus. It's going to be a cool season grass course, so you get to experience something different, and then he'll send you down south, and you get to experience like a totally different thing. And that's what the program's all about. Whenever was I going to oversee the whole golf course? And it was just never. So
unbelievable. So the match play is done and dusted.
So the match play was in February. We sort of, it was the winter. It was a cold winter there. You think it's cold now, but we had a 2 or 3 week stretch there where it was minus like 10 or 15 through the middle of the day, and like it was crazy. And
the middle of the day? Where are you? Yeah. I thought you said you're in Texas.
Yeah, so did I, but apparently it still gets cold down there. So we had to. It's kind of funny. We had probably a week stretch of like freezing, frigid temperatures where like there was like 8 inches of ice on the ponds, and then we got this like crazy. Then we got this crazy like rain event that it just like everything got covered in ice. And
I was going to say then it just freezes again, right?
Yeah, so it freezes instantly, and we had like an inch of ice on every tree branch and every twig, and it was something I've never like. It was just that was like another crazy thing, and I was like, oh god, like what's next? But
wow. What does that do to? I don't understand. What does that do to? How do you have a golf course with those weather conditions? I don't get it.
Yeah, we shut it down for 2 weeks, and we covered the greens to protect the poetry. And just once it all melted and the turns warmed back up, and the course is back open for golf. And
that is amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then literally like 5 weeks later, we had a PGA Tour event. So, yeah.
Wow, the experience you're getting from these visits is just. Did you expect to? I get it's one thing to go through the tournaments, right, and the experience of doing that, but as a greenkeeper, we understand climate where we're from, we understand where we grew up. A lot of the time, we feel it. We know those senses more than most because we're in it every day. It's like your world's turned upside down. You just saying these things to me, I would just lose my brain at seeing that. I'd just be sitting there just wanting to understand how you look after a golf course, and like you said, you shut it down. You just shut it down for 2 weeks. Sure, that's just so foreign to anything that we have here.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I tell the guys at work every day, it's like they're like, "Oh, this must be cold for you," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's cold." And I was like, if this was happening in Australia, like it'd be like breaking news. Like,
yeah, you're right. It would be. That's right.
It's like crazy weather patterns, and these guys are like, "Oh, this is like normal stuff. Like this happens every year." So it's like a shrug on the shoulder. It's like, "Oh, here we go again." So
that's brain numbing.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like you just go from one extreme of hot and humid, and then you go to Texas thinking it's going to be hot and dry, but then it's like it was hot and dry for like 2 months, and then it went freezing cold, and like I'm like, I thought I was in Texas here, but it's crazy cold. And
that's
here we are we're pretty much watching the course sit dormant, and then 6 weeks before the tournament we go out there and we go crazy in the course and really try and push it to get it to grow. And fortunately after that the weather was on our side, and we got some warmer temps and the course recovered.
I'd like to think the weather was on your side after that. That's the least it could do.
So it was a little bit of damage with trees and whatnot, so we did some tree work, but after that it was no damage to the grass. The grass gets through it, and so like it's probably the best thing for the course, since no members are out there on the course, driving around or things and stuff. So
wow.
So after all that, we went into the tournament, and PGA Tour stuff, like we had massive build outs, and like the KPMG, the women's tour event was it was kind of big, but the build out was like nothing. And then you go to this tournament, I think it's the second biggest build out in PGA Tour's events. So they were on site for 4 months building massive like whole line structures.
Like full whole corridor, left and right sides, and
yeah, exactly. And it was working around all that, and final 6 weeks came. Of course, went from like scaffolding to like everything was fully finished, and we just got in a groove, and the course was once again pristine. There wasn't a blemish out there, and I think it was like top 64 players in the world at the time. This is pre-live, I think. So
yeah,
we still had all the best players there. It was a great week. It was something completely different. The PJ Tour came in, and they run a tournament very well, and they just guided us along essentially, and we just made sure the grass was mowed and the greens were perfect, and they did extra work. So that was great being around those guys, and the agronomist that was there, Thomas Bastis. He's probably known for a few of the guys on here, but Thomas Bastis came in, and like he spent a lot of time with us interns, and he didn't have to, but he taught us all the new technology when it comes to like the USGA, like GS3 balls and whatnot, and like spent a lot of time with us, and taught us how to run a tournament properly, and how to go about certain things and stuff. So probably the best tournament when it comes to like organisation and how things are run, and learning a lot from that. And it was one of the easier tournaments since it's only 64 players, and day by day they get eliminated. So by the last day, there's only 4 players out there.
Yep.
So pretty chill tournament, and so there was no crazy things there, and it was just, there's not much to talk about the tournament because it went so smoothly, and they were in and out before. We might have had 25 volunteers there. We had a pretty big staff for 18 holes. I think it was like 35, 36. Everything went smoothly, and it was just like running a tournament properly. So.
What a great experience!
Yeah, it was one of the best. Like, I feel like I say this a lot, but one of the best weeks of my career.
No, it sounds like you're just wrapping up this Ohio program just to be one of the best experiences every day you go through. I mean, it's just incredible the stuff that you get to be involved with. And I've heard it from other people before, but you're over there now and not so long ago finished it and walking us through it. It's great to hear it again. Yeah.
I mean, I've forgotten about some of these things, and now I'm having to like memorize it, and it's bringing back some good memories. And I don't know. I feel like every single place I came to over here it was just great, and I mean, I couldn't recommend it highly enough if you want to advance your career and get out there and experience something different, because what you experience over here in 6 months, it's like a 3 or 4 year experience in Australia. Like
totally,
you see so much here in the space of 6 months, and how these guys adapt is crazy. And the stigma that comes with like, oh, they're Americans, they just sit in their car and drive around and watch their workers is completely false. Like these guys, they're in amongst it more than anyone else. So
unreal. So you finished the match play tournament in Texas in freezing, ridiculous conditions that come warm to be able to put the tournament on. Where does things? Is that your 6 months done?
No, I'm off to Chicago. I'm off to.
That's right up north, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much smack bang in the middle of the country, right up in the Great Lakes there. Went to Medina Country Club.
Oh, no way. Talk about name-dropping courses. This is ridiculous.
Not a bad run. So, so this is one I had my eye on for a while, like ever since the OCM had been announced they were going to redo the course. A bit of to and from O'Keefe. He never had sent anyone to this place before, so I suggested it to him.
So this was new for Mike to be able to do this, and this is when OCM were doing, it's Ogilvy, Cocking and Mead, were doing the design work for Medina number 3.
Yep. So, I got in contact with Mike, and I was like, hey, Mike, would like to extend it for another 6 months. And, I think about going to Medina. Like, I really want to, go and experience the construction, and, being around a bunch of Australians would be pretty cool.
So you're telling Mike what you want this time around. He's not...
Yeah, it's not very common, but he, props to him. He made it happen, and he got in contact, and it all went smoothly, and he got me in there, which couldn't be more thankful, because I'm sure it's hard for him to go into a new place and have to explain all the crazy that comes with us international guys. So, I rolled into a diner in, I think it was April of 23, and it was going back to the cold again. And first day there, it was absolutely frigid, and it was snowing. So,
wow.
Rolled in there. OCM hadn't started yet. I think the shaper he'd arrived on the same day. Like the bulk earth moving guys were in, and so when I came in, it was like the perfect timing. Those guys had rolled in, and the shaper had arrived. The bulk, like they'd sprayed out one side of the pond, ready for earth moving, and so it was full steam ahead into this one as well. It was there was no rest. It was let's get into it, and this was another one of the places where I just opened my eyes up to everything. Like this wouldn't happen in Australia. Like there's 3 excavators out there. There's like 5 dump trucks. They're moving so much dirt, and they're just getting hole by hole done, and it was, I don't know where to start in this thing. But
I mean, this was a bit of a thing, because I remember the announcement over, whether you call it over there or over here, about Medina going down the path of having OCM, which I think it was such a different tact for a big name golf club in the US to do essentially an Aussie design firm in this way. And there was a lot on it. There's a lot of history there in terms of the golf course itself and the tournaments that's hosted in the past. So there was a lot riding on this, I think, for a lot of people, and certainly the club as well, in choosing OCM to go with. So, from afar, seeing it all sort of start, I didn't know you were involved with it. So it sounds like it would have been a really, really I reckon a lot was thrown at this to make sure that it was going to be everything everyone wanted it to be.
Yeah, it sure was. And, OCM made that, an absolute commitment for themselves. Like, it was either Mike was on site one week or Ashley was on site the other week. And, those guys had so much going on, as well. And they were, down in Georgia building a new course as well. And then they were up here like every other week. And those guys were, they were on site 12, 13 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, their shaper was there, same thing. Like he was there 6 days a week and 7 days if he wanted to be, and he was there 12 hours a day. And those guys, they didn't skip a beat. And if they didn't like something that if they didn't like something when they completed the hole and the contractors came in and moved dirt that they didn't like, they would come back and fix it. And they made sure that this project was exactly how they wanted it. And and they walked that course a number of times. Like each hole was completed, they'd make sure it was perfect. And once they topsoiled and stuff.
So what sort of roles and things were you involved with at a job and an opportunity like that with number 3 being rebuilt?
So we were sort of off to the side, away from the construction. We were sort of following in behind those guys. So it was a massive team on site. I think there was 90 plus contractors on site there. So by the time the big earth movers had moved, 70% of the shape, Jason, the shape, would come in and shape the hole, and then the contractors would come through and sweep it and like install irrigation, drainage, install the sand in the greens, and, topsoil the fairway, and install the bunkers and all that sort of stuff. And then would come in behind them like that. Even the contractors would seed the golf course. A little bit different in Medina. They seeded everything instead of no sod was really low rolled out there. And then would come in behind and would maintain the course. So grow the seed from the minute the seed was in the ground, it was under our control.
So it was handed over to you guys. Yep.
Yep, exactly. And then we grew it in, and that had its challenges in itself. But it's that was so essentially I was there. We were part of the growing team. We were just there to to make sure the plant grew, and worked along all the systems. Pretty much, they have think 9 assistants there, and they put like 6 of the assistants on this project to make sure it was like thrown in perfect. And we were looking after 10 different greens at once, and like fairways that we're starting and like continuing, and like just making sure we're staying in front of the contractors to fertilise like in front of when before they seed, and then having to go back and check all the other stuff. And it was great. It was like I never seen anything like that, and I don't know whether I will ever again. But
wow,
it was you had to be everywhere at once, and I mean that's the type of thing I like anyway. So like you're bouncing around all day, and you're in the dirt, and you 1 minute you're watering seed, and the next minute you're over there fertilizing bare dirt before seed goes down. And next thing you're over doing some other random project to make sure everything went on smoothly. And it was a great place. I mean, even though I was doing all that stuff, I still had time to go out and watch the irrigation get put in. And I think I spent a day or two with the contractors, and learn how to install HDPE pipe and all that sort of stuff. And then I was there with the contractors, and I seeded a couple tees, and I was a part of that. And it was great. It was pretty much, it was like a watch and learn type of place. We weren't really too involved with the dirt moving, which is fine. Sure. But
So how long did you spend at Medina with this?
6 months. Did 6 months there as well. So I was there from April to September.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's 18 months in total so far. Is that right?
Yep. 18 months in total. And it's a long 18 months. There was no.
Is there any room left in your brain for everything you'd taken in? That's wild. So you finish your time at Medina. How far through the construction were they, do you think?
They had 12 holes or 13 holes shaped, and we'd seeded 9 or 10. I think it was 10 holes by the time I left.
Okay. So,
but we also built like a short course as well. So there was like a 6-hole short course that we seeded, and then we went on to the main course. So
yeah, right. Okay. So you were past the halfway mark.
Yeah, well and truly. Like those guys were pretty much, ready to wrap it up, and they were trying to beat the weather, so they were moving.
Sure. Wow. So where do you go from there? I mean, you got any more questions to ask Mike at this stage? Any more requests?
So fortunately, probably for Mike, I actually couldn't go back on my time in the program had ended. My visa no longer could be extended any further, so I couldn't bug him any longer. But at my time at Medina, Pete here at Congressional, we'd spoken a few times, and I went back and visited in the middle of the summer there at Medina, and fortunately enough, I after a few conversations, I accepted a role back here as an assistant to come back in the new year. So come back in February of 24. So I before I'd left Medina, I already knew I was coming back to America. And after I left Medina, I was ready to put my feet up. So I went home and started the visa process, and I didn't do anything for 4 or 5 months, probably 4 months. I just was just chilling out. And
so this is back home in Tamworth?
Back home in Tamworth.
Okay.
A bit of time in Queensland with my parents now live, but yeah.
Just telling everyone your war stories and all the things you'd learnt and experienced in this condensed time frame. What a wild ride, and then take stock of everything you'd been through. So, but you knew you were going back. You knew you were going to go back to the US.
Yep. That
100%. You that's what you wanted to do.
Yep, that was absolutely I accepted the position back here at Congressional, and it was full steam ahead with the visa process, and that was pretty easy. It was just like a time-consuming thing that it doesn't happen overnight. So, and then also coming into winter, it was not a real rush to get back there. So, went home, put feet up, got the visa, and then I came back here in first week of February of 2024. So right in the depths It was actually the back end of within the depths of winter. It's just like Australia. It's the hottest week of the year, probably in February or late January. So it's the same thing here. The coldest week was then. So,
you're copping the worst of it.
So rolled in, and I guess here I am now. A Congressional. I started as an assistant superintendent, full time here. Yes, still here. So,
how does that make you feel now today? I mean, I don't know how if you've had, apart from your time that you said you're in between getting your visa sorted, but to take stock, you are currently, like I said, employed Senior Assistant Superintendent at Congressional Country Club. I mean, just saying that, for me, I'm talking to you. To me, you're just a superstar, right? I'm just sitting here and down here in Sydney, just lounging away, chatting to different people. I'm talking with someone who is in the leadership group of Congressional. I didn't think I would ever have a moment to talk to anyone in that role. You're in the bloody role, mate. That's incredible. And I can say you're a fellow, boy from the bush in a sense, from Tamworth. That's a wild ride. And I think about people who listen to these stories and they enjoy hearing people like yourself and the career paths you've gone down. They are seeing this as inspiration to look at opportunities for themselves. I mean, it's a wild ride. How do you look back on that and take stock? Overall,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I feel like it's just pure luck. Like, it just
hang on. No, I'm going to pick you up on that. It's not pure luck. It's bullshit. It's not pure luck. You got to work hard to get. You couldn't walk into that opportunity or that interview at Congressional, and I don't know the super's name that you would have had speaking with. But you wouldn't be able to walk into that and lay down what you're looking for and say, this is, I would like to apply for the gig if you were no good. You have to be good at what you do. And us Aussies always talk ourselves down a little bit. And I don't think we often talk ourselves up enough. So I'm saying that I call bullshit on it. It's luck. It's hard work. You've stepped us through all that hard work. Now, you've got to walk through the door and you've got to deliver, and everyone's got to see that you are. They're not going to. Congressional's not going to take crap. They're not going to sit there and go, "Oh, look, he's done a little bit of work for us. We'll just put him in that role." Mate, you're obviously good at what you do, and I think that hats off to you, and I congratulate you on your career to this point, mate, because that is exceptional, and You've done the work. No one else has done the work to get you there. You're the one who's done the work to get you there. And I think as greenkeepers, sometimes we need to talk ourselves up a little bit more, or at least be fair, a bit more fair on ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a surreal moment. Like, I genuinely think it was like it was like a chance of happening. Like, it was because I was here, and then it was a perfect time that a position opened, and it just became what it is now. But like, I don't know. Like, I look back at 2017 when I started, and never in my wildest dreams did I even think I'd be kind of in the US, and let alone at Congressional. And it's, like, to be honest, it's kind of special. Some days I stand there and I spend 10 minutes. It's like 15th or 16th tee. I look out and you can see everything. It's the clubhouse and whatnot. And I mean, you just have to stand there and smell the roses for a little bit, because you can get so caught up in the day-to-day work. And some days, absolutely, like, I stand there and like, there was some chubby little kid from Tamworth that started this also so long ago, and here I am. It is kind of crazy, and some days I have to check myself up every now and then, and say, like, you kind of earned this, but so it's as hard as it is sad, I still don't think I've earned too much, and I've got a lot to learn yet. And it's
sure.
It's it's.
I get it. You're lost for words. I would be too, mate. Like I said, I was I was at Royal Melbourne only a couple of weeks ago at the Open, and I was giddy at rolling a ball across a green. Right, you're in the role at Congressional, and I just like that's amazing. And I've got to ask you, look, I have to ask, because hearing you walk through the part of your career there through the Ohio State program and what Mike O'Keefe has he does, all the work that he does. Like I said, I've had him on the podcast before, and he talks about his passion behind seeing young people do what they do. He puts them in the right places based around what he knows people. He knows how to get the people in the right positions in the right clubs, and how they can then grow, and he helps with that process along the way. The opportunities through that program to someone listening to this in Australia, if they had a fleeting thought of doing the Ohio program, what would you say to them?
Oh, absolutely. I love Australia and I love the turf industry there, but you just don't get the opportunities as you do over here. It's tough to say that, and it is what it's a reality, and so if you're thinking 10% of it, absolutely, it's one thing to go out of the country and travel, and you come to the US, and you're gonna work at some pretty cool places, and I think if anyone that came on the program, I don't think any of them would be disappointed by the end of the time they leave. You're going to walk away with a hell of a lot of experience, and it's almost like when you go back to Australia, you're almost going to be too overqualified for what you've witnessed in those 12 months.
Yep.
And you're having to walk back into qualified greenkeepers positions, and yet you've just spent 12 months working at world-class golf courses, world-class hospitality, and world-class expectations. And if you got the slightest thought about it, absolutely, you come in the pro. It couldn't be more easier for you to get on here as well. O'Keefe, he goes about it and does it all for you, and as long as you do your part and you help him out, and provide the right documents, and and you sit the interviews and you go about the process, and he'll sort everything out, and it's literally just book a flight and off you go, and these guys are going to help you out, and they're going to look after you because they know who you are and what you're worth. And as an Australian, you're very highly ranked in the US. They know you can come in and you can do things straight away. So these American interns that you work with, these guys are fresh out of college, and some of them never worked on a golf course before, but they've got the education. So it takes them time to get adapted to just even the basics of how to mow properly and how to break a bunker, and you're leaps and bounds above these guys. And so if you're worried about having to go back and go backwards, you're not going backwards, you're going forwards. You're jumping ahead of all these guys. You're doing more things than you probably would do in Australia, and, especially if you work at a small tier club.
It's they're all amazing opportunities and incredible parts of, like you said, what you do, and the ease at which you can get into the system. And anyone listening, go back and listen to my chat with Mike, because it's fascinating to talk to Mike and his passion. I don't know how much interaction you had with him, mate, but I spoke with him for, I think it was nearly a couple of hours on the pod. He's just so passionate about this.
Oh, yeah.
He is unbelievable. There's very few people with that level of passion that's sustained over the length of time that he's been doing it. It's incredible. The people he's had, and the people that have come back to Australia after a number of years or a stint or whatever, and the superintendents here. Mike knows them all still.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's funny, there's guys out there that, you've met, and they're in their 40s, and you're oh, yeah, I'll be on the program as well. And it's God, that was 25 years ago. And, Keith he was running the program back then, and he still is, and he's still running it just as hard as he was back then. So
it's incredible opportunities that can arise from being involved in the program. And there's not many things I say in life that I regret not having done, or I've disappointed I missed. But I didn't look at the Ohio program when I was finishing my time in the same way that I hear about it now, and I kind of what people who have been on it get the opportunity to be involved with. And you're there to work, right? It's hard work. It's not, as you've said, as you've just stepped us through, it's not a walk in the park. Mate, I hear, obviously, Congressional. Where to from here for you? What are you looking forward to?
Right now, it's my focus is here, and I don't have any plans on going anywhere else anytime soon. I couldn't talk highly enough here of Pete Went, the director of grounds. He's a guru. He's all about getting these guys through his system and getting them out to the next job. And he's the best in the business, and talking him up, but it's true. Like he knows what he's doing, and he's hard to work for, but it's very, very rewarding. And it's if you buy it in, you give you 100%. It's not that he's going to look after you. It's just everything's going to be put in place, and he's going to essentially he's going to look after you. So it's full steam ahead here, and I'm here for the long haul, and I'm in the process of renewing my visa, so I'll be back here again for another 2 years at least, and it could be for many years to come. So there's no plans on going anywhere else. So.
Mate, it's absolutely amazing to hear you talk about where you're at, how much you're enjoying, and you're passionate about where you are at Congressional. It sounds like it's a wonderful family to be involved with once you're in, and through the hard work you've done. As I say, I'll tell you, you've done the bloody hard work because you won't say it. It's to be involved, mate. It sounds like it's a great place to be, and the future is bright for you. Look, Jock, I'm really pleased to have had you come on the podcast to share your story and everything you've gone through. Like I said, a boy from the bush, starting out in Tamworth, it's a big country town, but stepping your way through and being where you are now, along with a stop at Ellerston along the way, I might add. And mate, I congratulate you, and it's wonderful to hear your story overall, mate. I couldn't be more pleased for you in the place where you're at now, Congressional. What a level of golf course to be at, and these are bucket list things for people to go and see, let alone work at and be involved with and help deliver the quality product that they do for their membership and for life as tournaments on television. So, Jock, mate, congratulations on your career. I really do appreciate you jumping on the pod to start off 2026, as it will be when this comes out, mate. You're a shining star for a lot of people over here to look at your career path. I know you won't look at it that way. You're a humble guy. I can tell by talking with you. But there's a level of inspiration in your journey that people who are starting their careers or even finishing their apprenticeship time here in Australia and New Zealand, where a lot of people listen, that are going to see the opportunities available through the Ohio program, mate. And I really appreciate you jumping on and stepping it through us, mate. I can't congratulate you enough myself, and it's wonderful to see a New South Welshman, a boy from the bush, and I keep saying it, into where you are at Congressional, mate. So thank you, Jock McPherson, Senior Assistant Superintendent, I'll get it right, at Congressional Country Club. Thanks for being involved on John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens on the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for everything you do here and for the turf industry in Australia. And I listen to most of your podcasts, so it's good to hear other people as well, and just not even hear about them. It's like get to know these guys as well, and they're named in the industry, and who to look out for, and possibilities back home, and where these people are. So no, thankful, and appreciate everything you do. And if anyone out there has any questions about the US and the program and whatnot, feel free to reach out. It's the best thing that could happen in my career, and couldn't talk highly enough of it. So any questions, feel free to reach out. So.
Mate, I'll have some of these links where people can get hold of you on socials. I'll tag you up on the social post as well, mate. Jock McPherson, thank you so much again, mate. I look forward to following your amazing career at Congressional Country Club.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers, mate. What a journey that was. What a journey. What a story. What a career path in greenkeeping. Jock has just carved something out, hasn't he? I got to tell you, that was so exciting to sit down and chat with Jock, albeit via online video at Congressional. What a career path. And a big thank you to Jock for taking the time out. And look, I mentioned there in the podcast, we did it just before Christmas. I wanted to make sure that Jock's was going to be the first one out the start of 2026. without any delays, so that all of you out there could listen to it as you're firing up in this part of the world in summertime, as you heard that it's wintertime and very cold where Jock is. But that was really exciting. I hope you really enjoyed listening to Jock's story. He has got something that's quite inspirational and aspirational for anyone who's either just now getting into the turf industry or thinking about getting into the turf industry. And even if you're thinking about a bit of a change in your trajectory of where you're going, you go, you know, what can I do? How can I take something to the next level? I've thought about something different. Well, hey, it's 2026. If you want to make those phone calls, if you want to make those contacts, I've got links in the show notes. They'll be there. You can get in touch with Jock, as he kindly said towards the end of that interview. So he'll be able to no doubt help you out, as will Mike O'Keefe. And like I mentioned, all of these, all the details and where you can contact them will be in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. So a big thank you to Jock and a big thank you to Mike O'Keefe, because he really did help me out getting in touch with Jock, and I really do appreciate it. Mike is a wonderful man, and you've heard so many people that I've interviewed on the podcast talk about their time participating in the Ohio State program. So it's a wonderful career path opportunity that is in the greenkeeping industry that you can get yourself involved with to further your career in a different way that you might not have thought about before. And so many people have spoken so highly about it. So, a thank you to Mike O'Keefe for his help and support getting me in touch with Jock so I could have a good yarn with him on this segment of the podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, look, I hope it gets you thinking. I hope it gets you wondering what you can do differently potentially to enjoy your career in a different way, get things kicked off and a little bit started. I thought it was a great way to start off 2026. Like I mentioned, the show notes, there's going to be lots of clickables in there, things that we talked about that'll take you straight to where you need to go. So I've done the homework for you. It's in there. If you could leave a review, I would be greatly appreciative. For anything that you can do to help me out, spread the podcast around even further. Reviews go a long way to doing that. Star ratings do as well. So thank you kindly in advance for your help in doing so. Now, the wonderful partners of the podcast segment, Keeper of the Greens, is John Deere Golf. And make sure you go and check out their website for all the information that you need on how you can look after your turf surfaces better. The partnership that I've got, as I mentioned, with John Deere Golf is something that I'm incredibly proud of. And we're both stoked to be working together on Keeper of the Greens, this wonderful segment of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. So check them out at deere.com.au. That's DEERE.com.au, and you find out all the information you need on their website. And also, I'm happy to help point you out if you need anything else. If you need to get in touch with the right people, feel free to get in touch with me. Like, share, and subscribe is the line that lots of podcasters use to help share the podcast around to people. Look, it's the start of a new year, so if there's any way you can help me get this around, share it with people you think might be interested, people who love hearing personal career stories in our industry, people who you think might need a bit of something to pep them up. I've actually been contacted by a number of people that have said to me, Steve, you know, I was in a bit of a lull in my career, and listening to the opportunities and stories from the people that you've had interviewed has really given me another burst and lit the fire in the belly to see how I can improve myself and what opportunities there are available in the industry to maybe go to the next level, or even take the opportunity to move around somewhere that they'd never considered going before. And it's really got them fired up to be able to boost their career and get excited about the love that they've maybe once lost for a period of time, and get pumped up again about it. So these conversations, I thank you to everyone who's been involved with, and Jock to start off 2026. We've got a lot more coming for this year. And Keeper of the Greens, John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens, looks brighter and better than ever before. And John Deere Golf and myself are working towards bringing an exceptional year to you, ladies and gentlemen, for 2026. So very excited for the year ahead. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this segment of John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. You hit him clean, we'll keep him green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.